All right, folks, how we doing today? It is another edition of Star Wars Through the Ages. Hope everyone's having a blessed week. It's been a good week for me so far. Man, it's just lots of Star Wars information that's going on. We're going to bring in Rule Farm Boy. I think you guys can see him on there right now.
Evening, friends.
Also, I found this really cool picture of Scarif, and hopefully everybody can see it. I just thought that's just the bee's knees and had to share that along. So I hope everybody in the live chat is doing well. I'm going to throw up the link here. And that way, if somebody wants to come in.
Wow, Charlie, that there picture gives me memories of my time in 501st Legion.
Oh, I bet.
I was one of them troopers.
Man, that would just be absolutely amazing.
It is.
I can't imagine how that looks. All right. So speaking of that, we'll just go ahead and we'll jump into some random stuff. So when you're all dressed, how heavy are those costumes?
As I recall, with having my armor, not nearly heavy. It restricts some movement. It's a little bit hard. You can find a way and go and sit in it, and I did a few times. One time without my helmet was driving around in a car, and that's pretty tough to do. But the one thing, and I know most folks going to go and say, is seeing outside of the lenses of that helmet. That's a little bit. That's tricky. You can find ways around it, but you can't see everything around you.
That would be fun to pull up at a stoplight and then throw the helmet on real quick and then wait till somebody notices and then just kind of look over at them. That I'd have a lot of fun with that.
That and going up and down stairs was pretty tough, but otherwise, I loved it. It was I done my best to be in character as though I was in that galaxy far, far away. And I weren't the friendliest trooper. I acted how I thought stormtrooper should. Yeah, be intimidating.
Move along.
No, how we seen them on Jedha when they were shaking up them families in their homes. Yeah, kind of like that.
Awesome. All right. And we also have in our group 2Med2, who also is pulling double duty. He just got through with his Holocron house. If you guys that are in the live chat, which I'm sure you do, if you don't follow 2Med2 channel, please do so. So much information that is there. Always a great discussion. We have a lot of fun with it. I always love checking him out. So if you don't subscribe yet, please run over, subscribe to him real quick, and then come back here. We got plenty of time. So
we also got Conversations is here, and they just come out of the Holocron house too. That's Charles.
Oh, hey, Charles.
Yep.
And Mr. Perez.
And Mr. Rez and Miss Christina Flores, who was just also in the Holocron house.
Awesome, man! We got a full house. That's great. That's I think this is the most I've had for a live show, which is cool. It's I really enjoy talking with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! All right, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to get out of the way first. And the first one is something that we talked on the Bacta tank last night.
Okay.
Michael, you there?
I'm here. I was staying quiet because I heard you talking. I don't want to interrupt, but yeah, I'm here. I went and read for an hour with Rural Farm Boy, so I need a little bit of time to press. Actually, the funny thing is, at work today, there was 2 new people that started there, and my boss introduced me to these 2 new people. She said, "This is Michael. He talks a lot." So that was my introduction. So then, of course, I said, you know what? I went 6 minutes yesterday talking without taking a breath or saying I said, so yeah, I might talk a lot, but
That's all right. So, if you would let everybody know what the topic was yesterday that that the three of us talked about.
Well, Rural Farm Boy had asked me. He said, "Is Jango Fett a Mandalorian or not?" Because we've been told that he's not, but he pulled out one of his visual dictionaries. It's the one with Yoda on the cover, and
2005.
the last copyright on date on that is 2005, and it says in there that Jango Fett's parents were killed, and he was then raised by a Mandalorian family. So that would mean, under the new rules that we get from the Mandalore TV show on Disney Plus, if he was raised by a Mandalorian family and taught the Mandalorian ways, he would be a Mandalorian. But instead of just Googling it or asking anybody, I pulled out all the books that I have, and I showed him yesterday. I went through about 15 books looking at it and trying to find out what I could, every little tidbit I could find. And it seems that he was Mandalorian or claimed to be Mandalorian up until about 2010-ish, 2012, when Disney bought Lucasfilm. And then it comes out that he didn't even have Mandalorian armor. He had some type of iron alloy armor that resembled Mandalorian armor. And they kind of changed the narrative a little bit in the books, which of course, the books are written a year beforehand or whatever. So even though the copyright date on the latest ones are 2018, 2019. Now I didn't look at the one that I got that I just opened up. So that's 2019. That's the newest one with Vader on it. I didn't look in that one because I just opened it up yesterday. So I haven't looked to see if there's anything new on there. I might do that in a moment while you guys are chatting. I'll give myself my voice a little break. But so it seems that he, and then it's left that he claims that he was on what's the moon that he was raised on, Anthony, where he claims to be from?
Concord Dawn.
Concord Donna.
Dawn, not
Dawn.
Donna.
Okay, Concord Dawn. So there's
I knew a Donna once.
That's that. We'll save that for the Bacta tank. This is family friendly. Well, until I get on my rants and Charlie's got to start beeping me out. But yeah, so there's conflicting stories on whether he comes from. He's not Mandalorian by blood, according to older stories, but he was adopted by Mandalorians. Whether or not he was on Mandalore or not, he claims to be off of Moon of Mandalore, which I equate to, if you're from Puerto Rico and someone asks you where you're from, you say you're from Puerto Rico or you're Puerto Rican, but you're a U.S. citizen by birth. Or if you're from Guam, I said yesterday, I don't know what you're called from Guam, if you're a Guamian or Guamanese or, whatever I'm not disrespecting. I just don't know the answer. So I'm trying to think of what, a rational, or, an answer might be for that. And, you say you're from Guam, but you're really a U.S. citizen because, it's a province or a prop, whatever of the U.S. So it could go under an aspect like that. But, the big thing now is in 2005, they said he was raised by a Mandalorian family, the ways of Mandalore. And I didn't see the book yesterday, or I saw it in the book yesterday, but I didn't show it. It has a picture of Jango Fett and Boba Fett next to each other as father and son, or brothers, or whatever you want to consider them. I mean, they're actually brothers, or but raised as a father and son. It says in the book that he was raised in the Mandalorian ways. So, this is just one of those touchy subjects of, it depends who you talk to, what reference book you use. Obviously, the later reference books are,
So yeah, there was a little there's a little give and take on that on how you want to interpret it, and I believe it was Anthony that said we should ask Matt Martin from the story group about what's the case here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, you know what? Hey, I'll do that. I'm not scared to do it. And so today, I actually sent him a tweet, and it said, perhaps you be able to shed some light on a topic group of us were debating. The origins of Django seem to be close to that of Din Djarin. We consulted the visual dictionaries, and they were inconclusive. Some said Django was a Mandalore, while others said otherwise. So he wrote back and actually responded, which I thought was super cool. And he said, the most conclusive thing is the line from Almec saying that he's not a Mandalorian. Take that as you will.
So it's left up to personal interpretation.
I think so. I think we mentioned yesterday that Rey in The Rise of Skywalker, she identifies as Skywalker. She says, my name is Rey Skywalker. Well, I mean, technically, by somehow, she's a Palpatine, or she's Rey from nowhere. But she gets to pick, who she's from by those that, raised her and were her mentors, where she gets her values from. So Django, Boba, and now Din Djarin, who's now in the Mandalorian, whether or not they're true Mandalorians or not, he follows their principles. And Charles said it well, because it's a creed. He is essentially a Mandalore because that's the creed that he follows.
And that's where I've had a few conversations with Matt Martin too through Twitter with books, especially when I think it was before we were just talking about The Force Collector. The book that came out right before The Force Collector was Black Spire, I believe, or the other one. And
no, you got it, Michael. It's Black Spire.
And in Black Spire, I don't remember the names, but they're the guy and the girl that are in the story, and they meet a traveler or another young person of their age who they say in the book believes in the Force, and
that'd be Izzy and Jules.
Okay, yep. You see, you remember the names. I don't remember the names. I'm horrible with names, but Izzy and Jules meet somebody, and he's an unnamed boy. Or no, they do name him, I think. I don't remember anymore.
They do.
And so I think it was myself, and it was one of my time of I go through insomnia sometimes and don't sleep for days on a time, or just an hour or two here and there. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and someone said, "Hey, you want to talk?" And it happened to be Yoda Bauer, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll talk about this." And we sat there and talked, for. Thank God I don't have a jealous girlfriend. I sat there and talked for 3 or 4 hours about Force Collector and pulling the computer out and trying to look stuff up and find stuff out. And we finally got a hold of Matt Martin, and he said no, because we thought maybe that guy on the cover of Force Collector was the boy in the story, and they were going to be connected. And he said no. And one of the authors, I don't remember if it was the author of that book or the author of Force Collector, got in the conversation. She's like, Star Wars people are amazing because they'll sit here and have conversation. We had a 4-hour conversation on Twitter, and other people joining in just about, I wonder if that person on the cover is the person in the book. Then that's the only thing. And trying to find evidence to prove or disprove it, and going through Wikipedia and going through the publishing pages, just doing like a research project, of the olden days before you had the internet. We were using the internet for it, but trying to find any source we can to prove it or disprove it. And, Matt Martin's a great guy, and I would love to have the conversation with him that we had yesterday, or all the points I brought up from the visual dictionary on, well, this one says this, and this one says this, so it could be this, it could be that. But I'm not going to bother him with the trivial stuff because, he says basically he said it's up to interpretation. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said,
No.
Lucasfilm Story Group is the last thing that they've announced, and is that a character said he wasn't a Mandalorian.
Right.
But that gets into is he not a Mandalorian because he wasn't born on Mandalore, doesn't have Mandalore blood, but he's still a Mandalorian? Would they consider, what happened in the Purge? Why don't they take their masks off now? Because before they used to take their helmets off now. Before they used to take their helmets off. Now they don't. What happened in the Purge that makes them not take their helmets off? And before the Purge, he wasn't a Mandalorian. Now the Mandalorians, you can't find them. So if you're a foundling and you're a clan of 2, you're a Mandalorian. So Baby Yoda's or Yoju, if you will, which I started to spread around to some other groups. People love Yoju. Thanks Steel Saunders for that one. I'm trying to get that going. And some other places I hang out. With Darth Lungo, I have that trying to get that going in some of his streams that he has. And I lost my train of thought now.
That's all right. We understand what you're saying. And there's a really interesting thing that you brought up that you said, as how a group of us can get together and have a 4-hour conversation over just a picture. I mean, imagine last night how much Twitter was on fire, and how much that I had to leave because I was on my way home. But we were waiting for the announcements of Project Luminous and what all that was going to entail. Everybody was just waiting on bated breath for any scrap of information. A picture came out just a little bit before, and everyone jumped all over it. I mean, it was absolutely insane in a fun way.
Yeah, and then we had a 20-minute conversation on whether the picture was real or not, and then whether it was leaked or not, and what defines being leaked. If it's not officially put out, but Lucasfilm or Disney puts it out, it's still a leak, even though they did it because it's not official.
Right.
So, I mean, that's then we're having a conversation. It doesn't even matter if it's leaked or not. We're having a conversation then for 20 minutes or a half hour. What constitutes being leaked? So
right.
I mean, that's I think I was right as normal, but whatever.
So
it's up to everyone's interpretation.
For picking out and sifting through all the information that we got last night and today for the Project Luminous, which is centered around the High Republic. I picked out 3 things that I really took away from that, and to get your guys' thoughts on them. The main thought that I got was one of the opening statements that the publishing group is an incubation period. And I thought that was very telling, that we're so steeped in lore of Star Wars that this is a new era that we really know nothing about. They have a huge window, and how they're going to get us used to that and familiar with it are by this group of publishers putting out the works by these authors. I thought that was just an incredible statement. It's an incubation period. My second thought is this could be something that they're not really expecting, because some of us now don't follow every aspect of Star Wars. I mean, some of us read the books, some of us don't. Some of us read the comics, some of us don't. Some of us do the collectibles. Some of us just watch the movies. Some of us don't watch Disney Plus or can't watch Disney Plus yet, so they don't have that avenue. With having it through different aspects of young adult, or whatever different classifications, adult, young adult, and various platforms, whether it's books, whether it's short stories, whether it's going to be novels or comics or graphic novels, could all of in the various different authors, could that muddle the picture for some? Are they going to rely on the books to lay the foundation? But if you don't follow the books and you catch, say, they start a Disney Plus series or start a movie, like a feature film, are you going to be lost if they don't explain everything that's going on there? Then my third thought is, what scares a Jedi, which I thought was a pretty funny remark, and that was at the end of their trailer. So, what do you guys think, Anthony? I'll let you go first on this.
Oh, okay. So I was just going to take a look back, because at the beginning of what you were saying was making me think about watching. Even I'm taking a look at it here now on YouTube. The trailer announcement on the Star Wars YouTube channel, where they go and show us things about the High Republic, and a lot of the different storytellers, as you were saying, it's like a, how'd you say, a think tank of sorts?
Yeah, it's a publishing group is what they call it.
Yeah. I think it's even bigger than that, because there's like what we see in that video that they shared was, it's a room full of a whole lot of folks, and also includes Pablo and all 5 of the authors and so many more folks. And we're just at the beginning of what they're going to go and do with this story. It can go. They aim to blow this up and be just as big as what we've known. That one story, yes, Michael, it just ended. Story's over. This is a whole nother story that can get so big, and we're just at the beginning. But go and take a look back at that video on the Star Wars YouTube channel about the High Republic. This is a splinter out of a tree, a really big tree,
Right.
full of stories. So many stories. And maybe later on it might include stories told by way of films, but it starts with these books. Yeah, I'm still trying to, how folks says, wrap my head around it. This is, even just this one splinter, this is one really big splinter that.
Do you think that with all of this information and all these outlets that it could get muddled, and that people could miss important pieces?
Well, if folks are missing important pieces, that, in my opinion, is because they weren't paying attention. That's not how Lucasfilm tells Star Wars stories. They're not going to miss a point. They're covering so many more things, or they even go tell these stories. So if we're already told a story and some folks are going this way because it should have, why didn't they include this? No, just be told a story. It's not our story to tell. That's how I grew up. I don't know how to have a want to be told this. Tell me a story. That's what they've done for 42 years, is tell stories. And there's a really big story, a brand new story with a whole bunch of brand new folks. We don't know who they are yet. It's coming.
Right. So what do you think would be one thing that would scare a Jedi?
Ooh. I can't go and say attachment because, in my opinion, attachment's actually very important. What would be? I'm thinking back to something I saw in the Twitterverse earlier. Jim does a Star Wars was really loud bees.
All right, Michael, what are your thoughts on this? The publishing group. Do you think that it could get muddled if someone doesn't follow all the bits and pieces of it, such as comics or video games or graphic novels? And what do you think would scare a Jedi?
Well, I'll start with the Scare the Jedi one because I think that's, even though it's the hardest one, it's the simplest one to go over. And I look at the movies and you see what scared the Jedi in the movies that we've seen so far, and you get something like Yoda when Alderaan explodes, or when he feels Order 66 happening, and like the utter devastation that he feels like that. I mean, I think something like that is the only thing that can really scare a Jedi. So, I mean, like a disturbance in the Force that goes along with like a mass genocide, something along those lines, are the only thing we've seen so far. I mean, they can pull something out that we haven't even imagined or haven't even thought of, because who knows how long they sat and talked about this for. I know they said in the video that it was for a few days or for a weekend that they sat around, but they probably powwowed for an entire weekend about it. And we saw the board, which has caused some controversy because what the hell are dinosaurs doing on that board? And what do they mean by that? Do they actually mean dinosaurs, or was that an inside joke that they had for something and put it on there, or was that just to mess with people and get people, give the dumb people out there, something to talk about? And the other thing with the board, I know I'm going off topic now, is there's a lot of people going crazy because the board says diversity. Well, it says under fiction. So that means diversity of stories, not diversity in, gender politics and identity and things like that, that all the, the scummy YouTubers make their videos and living on. But I'm going to get off of back to the thing of, yeah. And I get my tangent sometime and my little sidetrack, but
that's all right. I'll keep you in line.
You can always edit that out later. I haven't sworn one yet, though. We're going on 20 minutes, I think, and I haven't sworn once, so I'm doing pretty good. But yeah, so it's, I think it's going to be something to do more of not like an actual physical being of like a vampire or the Wolfman or some kind of beast, because the Jedi know it doesn't matter, if it's the Force that's wielding it. So if this beast kills me, or I die, it's what's supposed to happen. That's the way the world works. So it has to be something to do with, what if the Vikings that we know of or whatever. And I mean, this is just, I don't think this is going to be what it is, but an example of, we're able to turn these people into zombies or like lifeless bodies. So the Force is no longer in them. They're just empty vessels now that the Force, I mean, something along those lines of death, or being able to remove the Force for something, so they're really, even though they're alive, they're not alive anymore. I mean, those are the only things off the top of my head that because I haven't really thought about it. When I did think about it, I was like, I can't think of anything. And then, just thinking about it right now, it's like those are the two things I can come up with right away. But maybe I'll percolate on that. And when it goes into the story, I mean, we've heard that they were in contact with each other and sending emails and text messages and, hey, I'm in this part of the book, what do you think? So even though they kind of threw us a curveball when Charles Soule is writing the adult novel and Kevin Scott's writing a comic book, and
yeah,
so things are a little different than they normally are, which is great. maybe that's our diversity, switching up from what you're normally doing. Not, but anyways, I'm going to get back to I'm going to pull my tangent back in. So I think that's going to be okay. And I don't think that they're going to say for the next movie that comes out, even if it is with the High Times, that you need to read the books to know what it's going to be. I think they're giving us the books beforehand, and they're going to tie into, so we know more of the inside story, but it's still going to be, you can go as like I've talked about, my father hasn't read a comic book, hasn't watched the cartoons, hasn't done anything, but goes and enjoys the movies.
Right.
And, I'm the complete opposite, where I absorb everything, and we get the same enjoyment out of the movie. I just want to know more, and he's happy with the story he's told. I want to know more of the story, so that's why I'm a Star Wars nerd. But so I think it's just going to be where the opposite of, we see the movie, and then over the next year, comics come out and books come out, and to fill in the pieces, they're filling in the pieces first, and then we're going to go see the movie. So it's just the opposite of what we're used to.
Right. I'm going to try something here. I have never tried this before, so hopefully this whole thing doesn't crash. I'm going to try to share a screen, and then we'll see if this will work.
You hit the, you know what to do. You've never done it before, so you hit the share screen button, and then a little box will pop up, and
I think I got it.
Then you hit your window. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
We're finding ourselves at a very exciting moment of the Skywalker saga coming to an end. We're at a place of what's next for Star Wars. One of the things we've always done is be able to use our franchise platforms to explore the creative potentials in the Star Wars galaxy. And so what if publishing was more of an incubation place and bring in great talent and just let their imaginations roam free?
Oh, the ranch.
Oh, so
we put together
gorgeous.
a really unique writer's room where we had diverse voices with very different opinions about Star Wars.
We all love Star Wars, but we're all coming in from very different places.
This has been a very free environment for everybody to just throw things out there.
We've all done lots of storytelling, but this is unique and really special.
The idea that this thing has been simmering for so long.
It's the secret history of the galaxy.
Yep, it goes way back to the beginning of Star Wars.
We gave them essentially a blank slate. What would you like to tell?
Over 1,000 generations of Jedi Knights without peace, justice.
A line that we've been hearing since 1977, and we thought, what does that look like?
It is a golden age where there's much more peace and calm in the galaxy. So we're calling it the High Republic.
The description that we've used for the Jedi in this era is that they are the Jedi Knights of the Round Table.
But Star Wars isn't just about Jedi, and we will tell stories of new smugglers, new scoundrels, new bounty hunters.
The threat and the tension really comes from the Republic's borders.
The Citadel.
The Republic does not extend from one side of the galaxy to the other.
It's a bit of a Wild West new frontier. We see a
That would be me.
patrols the frontiers is more of a Texas Ranger.
We're now bringing in concept artists, illustrators, and visualists, the same way that you would when you're making a movie.
We even had
That's an
Jay
awesome
come down
sketch.
and just do sketch after sketch for us. When you have a guy who designed the look for Darth Maul sketching Jedi for you, it doesn't get any cooler than this.
The scale of this initiative is really new for us. We're going to have stories for adults and teens and kids.
We're building this out simultaneously across multiple publishers. It gives us the ability to tell vast interconnected stories across multiple years. There will be a core group of heroes that will expand over time. There'll be villains.
Our main villain are the group called the Nile. We kind of like to refer to them as space Vikings.
Their motto is, you can't take it with you, but we can take it from you.
That's an amazing motto. I love that.
Yeah.
The story starts with what we're calling the Great Disaster.
It wouldn't be Star Wars without adventure. And there's definitely
Agreed.
series of events that will spin the galaxy into a dangerous new direction, and it'll give the opportunity for heroes to rise up.
The cool thing about this is that there's going to be a story for every Star Wars fan. It's really fun to be able to keep readers on their toes. This era is ripe for storytelling. The eureka moment was the question, what scares the Jedi? And that made us all go, ooh, something wicked this way comes.
That's just cool. It's really hard to even put it into words. Oh, hold on. All right, there we go. Sorry. I thought I
We're
closed
good.
that.
We're good. Things like that keeps me being a 10-year-old, 53-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from I can't remember where I saw it. It was an off-brand or a website, and I should have booked. In fact, I think I bookmarked it. I just saw it while I was at work today, where they're talking about this big thing that happens is because they're supposed to have this citadel that they've collected all these rogue Jedi, all of these Jedi that have been dabbling in the Sith arts, and something happens where that explodes or it's attacked. All the rogue Jedi are now dispersed, and so that's the main thing. Is now they have to go through and try to capture these rogues before they can really infiltrate and do something. I can't remember the website that it was on. But that was going to be the catalyst for everything. And then they're going to have offshoot adventures about having to go after this person or have to go after this person. And one of them is supposed to be this leader of these space Vikings. And that's going to be like the first story, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm just taking a look at the live chat, and Charles Westcott from Conversations is right here. And he ain't got to take a look at this video. This here on your stream, Charlie. First time he got to do that.
Oh,
and it laid him out flat.
All right. Well, we're about to have another guest.
Oh.
And we have Kilo with us.
What's up, guys?
Cali Customs.
We turned down.
What's my boy, Michael? What's up? What's up, Charlie?
How are we doing tonight, sir?
What's happening?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm in a different area in my at home office working on a project right now. So I figure I'd jump in and while I'm working on this.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I'm glad you jumped in. I have another topic that you might be interested in as well. And this is I still haven't even touched my main topic that I wanted to get to tonight. So that's awesome. But we have, and this kind of ties into the High Republic stuff. We have another novelization that comes out March 17th. It's the Rise of Skywalker novelization.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was on the website that they had. They offered a preview of the novelization and the expanded scene that they show on there is the Mustafar scene, the opening scene, and they really set the stage and explain what's going on. That Pride and Hux are together, and what their thoughts are.
Oh, it's the one from Del Rey books. How we see him in the Twitterverse in Star Wars books. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Michael Siglain. He's the one in charge of all Star Wars things through Del Rey.
Awesome. All right. So here, my question is: so we already know that Mustafar is going to get an expanded scene, and we're going to get a lot more information on what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with Kilo since he's coming in new.
Mm-hmm.
What other scenes would you like to see, or do you think that we will see be expanded?
From scene expanded from what? From like
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker?
From the movie.
From
yeah.
the novelization.
I really would like to see the interaction between Kylo and Palpatine. The first time when them two interact at first, when he's going down into exile, where he goes and meets up with them for the first time, to where he offers him everything, like the new fleet and everything. I want to see that to be elaborated on more, a little bit more detailed, because there's got to be more of that conversation than what we saw in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would really like to see elaborated on. I think that's a big scene for me personally. I would like to see them to go into better detail on.
Awesome. Michael, what about you? What scene would you really like to see them expand on?
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be like time-wise expanded on, but I want to know more of the thoughts that went on in Kylo/Ben's head when his father came back, because in the movie
yes.
you only get those few seconds and minutes or whatever that they're together, but in the book they can write pages and pages of what was going on in his mind and his psyche, and the inner turmoil that was going on with him. And I think I like this show better than mine. Mine, I just sit there and swear and yell. This one I actually have conversations with. So that actually sound good. But yeah, I mean, I think that would just be something really intriguing to, to find out what actually in the split that he had when he threw the lightsaber, and was there. In the movie, it looks like it only takes a few seconds or whatever for him to make that decision. But it could have been a lifetime in his brain of going on, making that happen.
Right.
Actually, I agree.
Yeah, that could be a page. That could be a page or a page and a half in the way of a novel. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's actually a really good scene to elaborate on too. I like his idea.
Right. And before we get to Anthony and what he thinks, what do you guys think in the live chat? Let us know. What scene would you really like to see expanded on in the novelization for The Rise of Skywalker? Anthony, what do you think?
Well, I'm taking a look at that live chat, and it's going to take them folks a little bit. So I'll keep an eye on that. But my answer is pretty simple. And it's in relation to every Star Wars story I've always been told. What would I want to see be told, or as Michael and I do, be told in the novelization, because I'm going to go and listen to it through Audible when I get it. I don't have any wants or expectations about what I want to see in a Star Wars story. It's not my story to say, I want to see this. I want to be told a story. And what we're going to be told in this upcoming novelization next month on the 17th, there's going to be a good big lie that's going to be expanded upon from the film side of the story. And tell me a Star Wars story. Expand upon it. Tell me things that Tell me more than what I already seen and watched, and I want to know that. I'll use this as an example from the beginning of the Last Jedi novelization that begins with that Force dream that the Force chooses to go and show Luke his his alternative life if he chose to hand over R2 and 3PO, and what would happen to him after. Yeah, I didn't have an expectation for that, but when I went and listened to it, or as folks read it, yeah, tell me a much bigger, larger, greater Star Wars story, and I think that's what we're going to get coming up on March 17th, and can't wait to go and see how much bigger this story gets from what we watched 2 months back.
Right, I agree. If I think, and we got a little bit of it. Something that I would like to see expanded on is more of the interaction of Hux being the spy. I really liked the idea. I liked the way that it came about. I just would like a little more meat on the bone to chew on, just to see, what he could have done, how they actually found out, other than, he's the spy, shoot him. And, I think that would be something awesome that, for them to just expand upon. And I agree with you, Anthony. It's I like being told a story as well, but I was told, the base story in the movies. Now I have a chance to get a little bit more of thought and just to expand that scene just a little bit more.
Make it bigger.
Yeah. It's not changing the story. It's not really adding things to it. It's just kind of just flushing out the details a little more. So
okay, we got a response. You were wondering what folks in the chat room were thinking, and Miss Christina Flores, she's hoping for, in the novelization, for things to be expanded upon or tell quite a bit more. The last scene, as she says, between Kylo, but at that point, that's Ben Skywalker. Between Kylo and Rey, as she says. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah, but isn't he technically back to being Ben at that point?
He is. That right there is Ben Solo, plain and straight.
He was Ben Solo when he got to Exegol, because didn't he revert back to Ben when they were on what do you call it, the Death Star 2?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I thought he redeemed himself at that point, went back to being Ben at that point.
You're on point, Kylo.
Is there, we'll go in reverse order here. Anthony, is there anything that you don't want to see expanded on?
Not one thing. I don't have a wand.
Michael?
I don't know, because there's things in the movie that I'm maybe not particularly happy with or that I don't like, but overall I like the movie, but it's I'm not going to sit here and harp on it, but I don't like the fact that she's a Palpatine, but I understand why they did it, things like that. But I would like to see more about find out more about Rey's parents. And I know that wasn't the question. That's the complete opposite of what you asked me. But because I don't want to know more about her being a Palpatine, and I don't want to know more about Palpatine doing what he had to do. Well, that would be interesting. I don't want to know about the exact details about Palpatine doing what he did to make a son, but I like to know how he did it. did he use the Force? Did they actually figure it out? If he actually figured out how to do that with midichlorians and create life, that brings back the topic which we were speaking of Matt Martin earlier, answering the question that no, Anakin was not conceived through by Sidious or Plagueis through midichlorians, that he was created by the Force because of what they were doing. So yes, they were responsible for him being created because the Force said, you guys are playing with fire, we need to cool you off here. Which brings in a whole other tangent of why was Baby Yoda coming around at the same time as Anakin, because the Force knew Anakin was going to turn bad, so they had to make some good, or vice versa. So yeah, that's a whole other story in itself. But your original question, yeah, there's really nothing that I want to see not talked about or not shown.
Kilo?
Well, something that I don't want to see them to elaborate on is what we're at right now, right?
Yeah. If there's anything that you think that, you know, or either that, or maybe something that they are going to expand on, but you don't think that they really should.
Honestly, like, I really can't think of much that I wouldn't want them to elaborate on. I mean, maybe the whole maybe they need to elaborate on like maybe the Sith dagger, because the Sith dagger really wasn't I mean, it was thrown in kind of like a like a curveball. So if they're not going to do that right and explain that properly, then I don't think they need to continue with that. And that just goes along with that scene at the wreckage of the Death Star 2, to where the Sith dagger lined up to where the where the Sith what do they call it? The Sith trans. What was that thing called? The Sith. The
Wayfinder.
Yeah, the Wayfinder, Sith Wayfinder. I mean that part kind of like had me at the split feelings. Like, they could have done so much more with it. And they just kind of like, oh, like, here's a Sith dagger, and you know, we're gonna find it down here in this in this like the sand hole with like big old oversized earthworm snake guy, you know, like they, you know, maybe or even that whole scene on the planet where I don't even remember the name of the planet that they went to, where they had the celebration where they found the Sith dagger. Yeah,
right. It's Pisana.
Yeah, Pisana. Maybe they could just leave that whole part of the movie kind of was like because there's so much that they could have done, and they kind of just like threw like little bits and pieces to it, and you know that, I mean, to find like something like the Sith dagger there, and then to know that, oh, it's supposed to line up at the Death Star, and you know, and that's where we find the Sith Wayfinder. Sorry, guys. Let me grab something.
No, you're good. You're
That's
good.
fine.
Carry on.
But yeah, I understand what you're getting at. Yeah, it's you know, there's a few things in there that, you know, they really, you know, we're fine with, you know, the short scene that we got in the movie, that, you know, as long as it doesn't need to be belabored too much in a novelization.
Like, yeah, like leave the part to where, you know, now since there's the big thing about the Force healing, I think that the book is going to turn around and elaborate on the Force healing and how she initially did it on the big serpent in the hole. And
Good call, Kylo. Hadn't thought of that. Oh, none of us thought of that. That's a good call.
You leave that shit alone.
Yeah.
Just leave that be, because you know what? We don't need to elaborate on that one yet. That's my big point about like I couldn't figure out how to wind into that part, but I mean, like the Sith dagger brought me to Pisana to that hole with the serpent, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's my train of thought. The force healing, leave it alone.
Right.
Because then people are going to be asking, like I've seen online, well, how come Anakin just didn't force heal Padme, or force heal his mother when she's dying in the Tusken Raider hut? But all of a sudden, oh wait, here's Rey, who has like a year maybe of force knowledge when Anakin was a Jedi or Jedi Knight or Padawan. He's already using the force and he couldn't do it. Leave the force healing alone.
Right.
Throw it out.
All right. So I have about 30 minutes left that I wanted to cover. And so I guess now is as good as time as any to get to my main topic that I wanted to. I named this episode Surprise, 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 which I actually, since Andy's in the chat there, I'll give a shout out to him. I believe he's the only one that guessed where that came from, which was Gomer Pyle. I asked a bonus question on, where did he get his start? And not a lot of people might remember that Gomer Pyle, before he had his own show, was part of the Andy Griffith Show. So, surprise, surprise, surprise. Saying that, I got. Wait, hold on one second. Looks like Charles has to go. Charles, really appreciate you stopping by. It was a pleasure talking with you again. And look,
Charles.
May the force be with you.
Charles, you have a good night, sir. You tell Pat we said hello.
So, the new Vader comic came out a few weeks ago. We talked a little bit about this last night on the Bacta Tank. And in the ending, spoilers, in the last part of the comic, it showed a very interesting scene. Now, I do have some extra information that we were missing last time. This Vader comic is set right after the events of The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
So Luke has gotten away. Vader's very upset about that. He's not sure what to do with his feelings. He realizes now that, hey, I have a son. Now he's, what do I do with that? How do I get back, together? We can really rule the galaxy. What he said at the end of the movie is not just lip service. He really wants to do this. So he's trying to formulate that. There's a planet that has an uprising. And the name of the planet, and I'll probably massacre this, is Vendaxa. Vendaxa.
Sounds right.
And at the end of this, the comic on the last page, Vader is going to go find out what this unrest is. What is going on here that's causing so much trouble? And as he enters in, he comes across someone that looks an awful lot like Padme. And it just ends it there. No explanation, but it's her. She's holding a blaster rifle. It just, as I was reading it, I was like, wow, what's going on here? So I came up with a couple of things. Hold on, give me 1 second here, guys. So just given that information, what do you guys think about that? And we can get further into detail.
So where you want to start, Charlie?
Anthony, what do you think? I know you don't normally follow the comics, but this is an interesting idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen some screen captures of that moment you're talking about, and that puts me to wonder, could right that there be a Force vision to, we'll still say it's Darth Vader, because not nearly Anakin. But could this be the beginnings of the Force trying to reach out to Anakin and show him in a sort of kind of way how the same way the Force gave Luke, his son, that Force dream about how his life could have been if things went to the left.
Right.
With his wife, Padme, who he lost. Could it be something in relation to that?
Right. Okay. Kilo?
I know we talked about this a little bit last night. I was kind of like torn between two different ideas. I was thinking at first, could it have been herself, and she was just kind of put off into exile and faked her death and went into hiding. That was like one thing that I know me and you kicked around a little bit last night is she went into exile like Ben and Yoda did. And then now all of a sudden, she's gonna now she's he found her because he found her through the uprising, and then I'm sure he sensed that there's a sense that's why he went there himself. Possibly she went into exile, or could it be what was it, the Shuri or what was the name of her royal
Sabe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it could have been her over there leading an uprising in the memory of Padme so it could have been her. Either way, Sabe looked a hell of a lot like she was like the stunt double for Padme anyway, so that's why he would think it was her. Or my other thought is it was Padme who faked her death, went into exile, but then Charlie, we also discussed that if it was Padme, it's kind of shitty because why didn't she take one or both of the twins? She left children behind. But at the same time, since the children were Force sensitive,
I can't hear anyone for some reason.
And then whatever, she probably.
Let me figure some
it's
stuff out here.
Sorry, Kilo. Yeah, I was bringing somebody else in. Sorry, I'm not sure if I screwed something up or not.
No, I hear you. I heard a rural farm boy.
Talk amongst yourselves.
And I hear Ro as well. I guess he just can't hear us.
Yeah, Ro's saying he can't hear us.
Test.
Oh, okay.
I can hear Ro.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
That's a good point on that, and we'll come up to that here in just a few minutes. Michael, do you have what's your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm still going with.
What's up, Rural? I still can't hear you, so hold on a second.
I'm still going with it would diminish her character too much if she was still
apparent that you
alive
can hear me.
and hiding
But
for some reason, because
I can't hear you.
what was the reason for her to be in hiding? I mean, we still don't know what it is. Are we going to find out? Was she? I can't fathom any reason that she would be faking her death and not being with her children after we've seen how passionate and compassionate she is to other people, how she would have been as a mother, even if it was to protect them, that the story comes out now that she was just there and hiding. That it has to be Sabe or one of the other handmaidens that made it through that long.
I can't
Right.
hear you guys.
Ro, can you hear us yet?
No, he can't.
No, not
I
yet.
just heard him say so. I just heard him say so. He's trying really hard.
But yeah, but it's just kind of.
I don't know what you're saying.
Do you guys have a live chat?
It would just be. I think it's one of those things that I wouldn't like about Star Wars. Like, but I wouldn't go. I do already have a YouTube channel, and I'd probably say I don't like it, but I wouldn't sit there, and make videos about it for the next 5 years and just say the same thing over and over. But I mean, it's just it has to be Sabe or something.
Right.
Unless it could be a Vision too. I'm still going with it. I mean, I just can't picture them saying that she's still alive, because what has she done? Where has she been? And I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of like I'm at a loss for words when it comes to why she would still be alive and how she survived. That it's Sabe or a Vision.
Right. So I had
my 13-year-old just told me Darth Vader was on drugs.
See, they get it.
All right. So I came up with a few different things, and I was some of the things that I came up with were it was a hologram or a vision that I'm trying to see where I made all these fancy little things here, and I don't know if it's if they work or not. Sometimes I get a bit muddled on there. Where's my other? Another one that it could be possibly a clone. For whatever reason, you never know. All right, we're gonna try to bring Ro in again.
Now I can hear you guys.
Hey, Ro.
All right.
For some reason, my system does not like Firefox. So I went another route. How are you, gentlemen, this evening?
Absolutely wonderful.
All right, how you doing?
Friends found among friends.
It is a great evening to sit here and talk Star Wars.
It sure is.
It is.
Every evening is a great evening to talk Star Wars, but we live in the now.
Ro, what we're just catch up on what our topic is right now. Our topic is the new Vader comic that came out a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That set after Empire Strikes Back. Vader is going to a planet called Vendaxa.
Wait, is Grandma's hair?
At the end of the comic, there is a scene where Vader comes around and he's met with an older Padme equipped with a blaster rifle. So we're kind of discussing if it's really her. Is it a hologram? Could it be a clone? Does it tie into maybe Queen's Shadow with the book that just came out not too long ago? Or could she possibly even be alive?
Is that the one where at the, because I'm looking at some frames now, he goes back to the Lars homestead?
No. This is he goes to a planet to quell an uprising. They're not sure what's going on there. The Emperor sends him to investigate what's going on.
Okay.
And when he really starts the investigation, that's when he comes across her. And I don't have the slides with me. Half my stuff ended up at work still. So
He's here? Rowan? Really? Yeah.
But as you were looking that up, again, I thought of, how could she possibly be still there, or what could be going on? I came up with, it's either a hologram or a vision. That another explanation could possibly be that she's a clone for somehow, some reason. Another one is that it does tie into the Queen's Shadow, and it's actually not Padme, but Sabe, who had her adventures in the book, and it's actually her, or some other thing of she's actually really alive.
Kind of like their video.
Interesting. I'm not finding the new one. I'm finding a lot of references to the old Charles Soule book, Vader 25. So I'm trying to see if I can find.
I'm not sure who did this one, but it's Vader #1 that came out in January, I believe, beginning part of January.
Let's see.
Sorry about that.
Written by Greg Pak.
Yes, that's it.
So very interesting.
So some of the things that I came across was, if it is a hologram or a vision, why or how could this possibly be? My first thought was Palpatine always is testing Vader constantly. It's giving him just. You see it with the Thrawn in the Thrawn novels, where Palpatine's just giving him, just different tasks to do, just to test his mettle, to show Vader his limitations. Could possibly, Palpatine devised a hologram or a Force vision to see what happens, or to remind Vader what's going on, almost to something along with that. It could be Vader just having a vision of his own, because he possibly sees someone that looks like her, and he fills in the blanks just because of his intense loss and his desire to be with Padme. We see him with the Momin arc, where he tries to come up with a way to bring back Padme from the dead. So, is it possibly a vision or something that he's seeing himself?
Yeah, Palpatine's a bastard, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. My favorite character, but yeah, as dastardly as he is, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, someone who's enjoyed the Vader Immortal game on Oculus Quest. It's a very interesting storyline, what he's trying to do at his castle, and what he ends up finding out at the end of Charles Soule's comic book. I think after that, it was well established that it was either all in his head or something. It was one of those things where I think at that point he decided, you know what, this is not going to happen. I'm just going to go and give this up. I learned what I needed to learn. And I'm looking at some of these panels from Vader 1, the new book that you guys are talking about, and he does have this kind of weird sentimental moment where he does see his family. I haven't read it, and I don't know what brought him back to this location at the end there. But anything with Vader is very interesting to me, because Vader is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. And sometimes I feel that too much Vader is too much. I like the headcanon more than what the writers have been writing. But it's always a treat to see Vader, doing Vader stuff. So it's interesting. I think knowing what we know about what Anakin did to try and save Padme, Vader is definitely now more so than before. We know that he's a tragic character. He did it he did what he did out of love for Padme, and it's a very intriguing thing. I think the rage that fuels Vader because of the loss of the love of his life, there's something there. It's an interesting motivator for someone as evil and badass as Vader. I kind of like that. But I think there is kind of sometimes it goes a little too far. I think less is more, but I'm ready. I like it.
Yeah, and I understand what you mean with sometimes less is more. I really enjoyed, say, the brief cameo that he had in Rogue One at the very end of the movie when he just goes roughshod on everybody. And
that's the Vader I know I love.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think most everybody that has said so far that they really think that it could be Sabe or her handmaiden that shows and it follows Queen Shadow. When I'm not sure if has anyone read that book yet?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, she's so distraught, over the loss that she has to go investigate and find out what actually happened on that. And it's just, I could definitely see how those actions would lead to something else, further adventures, trying to assist the Rebel Alliance and to give them a leg up. I could definitely see that. What do the rest of you guys think? Anthony?
I absolutely, for myself, I agree with what Ro said. It's he and me's on the kind of same wavelength. It's about what we hold as what we call headcanon. And Ro, yeah, I agree. There's a bit too much being told about Darth Vader, I think, at some points. Oh, and I had one other thought, because this was so many minutes ago, and there's a lot to be said after, but I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. Headcanon, yeah. Me and Rose on the same page. And there's a bit too much. I think they're telling a little bit too many Darth Vader stories and need to pare it down, keep it a little bit simple and on point. It's getting a little too deep, a little too wide, and it does get very, very complicated.
Right.
That's
Michael?
my thoughts.
And not that we're afraid of complicated. It's just that for me personally, I'm afraid that they're going to water down the character. I like.
Agreed.
Agreed. I like the mystery, but I also like to find out his motivation, because I don't know, something must be wrong with me, because psychologically I love Darth Vader. He's, like I said, my favorite character.
Me too, buddy. I got him inked right here on my left shoulder. He's right there.
So that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of the whole watering down of one of the most terrifying villains of film history, and I don't want that to happen.
No, there needs to be an air of mystery kept about it. Like same thing. We know so little about Yoda. We don't need to know everything about Darth Vader. Agreed. There needs to be an era mystery about it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that eventually it's just going to be, even though we love Vader, it's going to be too much. I mean, I think it was a week or two ago that we talked about, kind of like, even though it's a little bit different, but like the Black series, they have 5 or 6 different Vaders out there and 5 or 6 different Chewbacca's out there. The collectors are going to buy them because they want to have every Vader and every Chewbacca. And, it's going to, for regular people, it's going to, or normal people, whatever, that aren't, us types, they're going to buy them because they're going to see Vader and not know that it's, from this one or that one, and that we have different, his chest looks different, and episode 4, 5, and 6, and anything like that. They're just going to buy it to buy it. Whereas, they're doing it for, to make the money because they know it's going to sell. Where they make somebody else and they're peg warmers for 2 years. They're making. I think they needed stories to tell, and Darth Vader is the easiest way to go about because everyone knows who he is. And now you have them to actually go through and think, all right, let's take a break from the movies. And they knew probably a while ago they were taking a break from the movies, and now let's concentrate on the high times that we got going on, and work on something like that. So now we're going to go away from some Vader stories and Vader comics, but they still needed something that was easy and quick to fill the time. Not saying that making video or making comic books is easy. I don't want to offend anyone, but it's just easy. It's a quick sell, easy sell, and people seem to love this new version that came out for the most part. So, he hasn't really been watered down yet, but I agree, if it keeps going around that way, it will be.
Right.
Sure.
It's getting close.
Yeah, I for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why they would keep her alive after all this time without any sort of rumbling or mention. It didn't really make sense. Even if they were going to try to protect Padme, from Anakin, that he turned to the dark side, and put her in seclusion somewhere. It doesn't really make sense. It's not. How are they going to protect her, or why wouldn't she have taken one or both of the kids, like Kilo had said? It's just a. Yeah, in the Revenge of the Sith, they said, "Oh, she died of a broken heart," but maybe she just died. Anakin gave her
pancreatitis or something.
Yeah, I mean, she was choked out. You never know what could have possibly happened. During that time. And then not only that. She died, and that was the whole catalyst for Anakin's fall to the dark side. He fully embraced Vader to save her, and so if she was alive, then there was really no point in him continuing on the dark side. She's alive. He could go either overthrow Palpatine at that time or try to, or he could have had her with him at all this time. Her being alive just really doesn't make sense.
Well, I want to go and ask and hit the super fast rewind. This is the beginning of a new story by way of Darth Vader comics, correct?
Correct.
Oh, then this pares it down pretty super simple, because where they left off at and showing us this, I'll say, vision of Padme to Darth Vader, there's a lot yet to be told. And I think maybe some of us that follow this story are kind of maybe running, or we should be starting to walk, because there's more yet to be told. And when we're told that story, then what we're talking about now holds no weight. Let's wait and see what this story got to tell us yet. Story's just beginning. I think we're running when we still need to be maybe walking.
Or maybe
So we'll see
crawling.
what-
It's just the first one.
Even that. Yeah,
Right.
how long's the story? We don't know yet.
All right. And Andy brings up a good point in the chat. No one has ever really gone from a certain point of view.
No.
Thanks for that, Andy.
Exactly.
I've never heard that before.
What's so funny?
Yeah, we use that gets used pretty much every time we can't agree if someone's dead or not. It's like, oh, is Boba Fett dead? Well, we don't know. He was in a Sarlacc pit. Well, he crawled out after a couple of days. Well, even if he is dead, no one's ever really gone. Even if you see the body. So,
Even when this stream ends and all of us are out of the live chat, no one's ever really gone.
It's true. It seems
Where are we
like
going,
this is,
Charlie?
it seems like this is like the ninth incarnation of a Darth Vader book.
It's definitely
Only by way of live
quite a few.
stream. Only by way of a live stream. Correct, bro.
Stay late.
Yeah, they've redone. I think I can remember personally 4, and I don't follow too many of the comics, but I can definitely remember 4 different starts to Vader, different points that they do it. I think the second one that I've seen that starts around or in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
I'm trying to look right now on Comixology and see what I can find for.
I mean, I like kind of what they did to it, especially with the with what they're trying to do with Project Luminous, where you have a lot of different people coming in to explain things, where it's books and comics and things like that that are included in telling the story. So I don't mind. I don't mind that they're showing a bit in going with. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. Connecting. Say that it is a connection with Queen Shadow, so it's yet another piece to that puzzle where it's all interconnected. Just like these High Republic books that they're working on are going to be all interconnected, like the video games, the Fortnite announcement. It's all little bits and pieces of the puzzle. You can still watch the movies and understand what's going on without it, but for those of us that have vested interest, it's really cool to see those different aspects. What do you guys think about that?
I'm monitoring. I'm taking the monitor of the chat room, so somebody please fill my space.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the how many Vader comics there are right now.
Yeah. And I think it's past somebody's bedtime. Take care of that family, Charlie.
Oh yeah, they're heading out.
You too. Bedtime too.
Yeah, we our heat's still not on here at the house, so the kids go next door to grandma's to sleep. So she came home, and now they're getting they got fed, and now they get to go hunker down for the night.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't mind, and we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the chat. I don't mind that they're incorporating different media to tell the story. I kind of enjoy it. In fact, it could bring over a whole bunch of new fans and different fans from that aren't just movie related, but there's a lot of people that closely watch the the graphic novel scene and the comic scene. Now they're reaching out with the the Disney Plus side of things, and so I mean, I don't mind trying to reach across and tell a connected story through different media. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, we talk about the ancillary material that has been coming out. It's not a new thing, but I think lately they're using that as a crutch. I think I remember when movies were kind of self-contained and the stories, you had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was cool. And then you had some extra stuff that kind of added, not explained what you just saw. So I kind of, it's a little touchy subject for me, but I definitely do enjoy, grabbing some of that extra material, whether it's in a comic book or even the games. The games have offered some extra tidbits about this universe that we all know and love, to enhance some of the the main story, not really the main story, but some of the main elements that are offered in Star Wars. So it's kind of a gray area for me. I do love it though.
Yeah, and I agree with you. To tell main chunks of the story and then leave it up to the consumer to, in order to get this, you also have to buy this and buy this and buy this. For instance, in Battlefront 2, there is a level that's on there where you go to the Emperor's storeroom on Pilar, and the character that's on Inferno Squad is about to destroy everything, and Luke says, "Hey, can I keep this?" And it's the compass that's in The Last Jedi. And you don't really, and when you watch the movie, you just see it there. Normally you wouldn't notice it, but if you play the game, you're like, "Oh, well, hey, that's cool. That's that's part of this video game that I just played through." So I don't mind that, as long as they're not going to try to say, hey, in order to get the full thing and the full effect, you have to, do every piece of the puzzle. But yeah, it's I don't mind it to bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy just said, it's lame. You got to get the visual dictionary to explain stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean about having to explain things that aren't explained in the film. I was listening to somebody's podcast, and they were asking, why didn't they just put a little CG, a little name at the bottom and say, we're on Mustafar, or we're on, you have to buy the visual dictionary to figure out, at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, Kylo was on Mustafar. That's very interesting. I don't know why they didn't do that. Yeah, Mr. Rez, money. It's too bad that that's our go-to. But I think George Lucas did it a little bit more creatively than just blatantly saying, I'm not going to tell you the full story until you buy this over here.
Right.
But
I mean, I believe that if you look at Star Wars, like A New Hope, and there were so many things in there that when it came out in 1977, people didn't know. They just took it as, this is what they said, we're taking it, we don't know the explanation of it, that's just how it is. They may have questioned or want to know, and now we get these books that explain those things, so we want them explained in the movies. But if we explain everything in the movies would be, 3 times as long. And I think that they had a reason why they didn't put like Mustafar on there, which I would have liked, because I would have liked to know that when I was watching the movie. But like Ro, we were talking earlier about how I went to go see it with my father, and my father has seen every Star Wars movie, but he couldn't care about the comics or the cartoons or whatever. He just goes and sees the movies and he's happy with what he gets, and goes with believe whatever they told him to believe in. That's what he's believing because that's how Star Wars is. That he would have then been like, well, what's Mustafar? Because he wouldn't remember back to Episode 3 that Mustafar is where he went because they only said it once or twice. We only know that because when I say we, I mean like us that are going to be sitting here talking about it in the podcast. We know what Mustafar is through ancillary materials and because we've seen the movie X amount of times. But those normal people that'd be like, well, what's Mustafar? How come they're telling me it's Mustafar? What importance does it play? And that would take away from their enjoyment of the movie. And the normal people or casual fans or whatever we call them, Disney and Lucasfilm makes more money off of them than they do off of us. So I mean they have to cater to both groups, but if push comes to shove, the normals or casuals are going to win because that's really where the more money's coming from.
Agreed.
Do you really agree that the normals and the casuals is where the Star Wars bank is coming from? I mean, look at our backgrounds. Look at what we're live podcasting in front of. I mean, I don't think the normals or the casuals have as many Funko Pops as I see in your backgrounds and all the stuff that we have amassed over the 42 plus years. So,
but when it comes to the revenue off the movies, I think the normals and the casuals, and we're going to get the Funkos whether or not they tell us it's Mustafar or not, and they know that. So when it comes to the movies, they're going to cater to the casual people or casual fans. When it comes to now the toys, they're going to cater to us. So because
I'm gonna yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
You're not going to go. Most people are going to go buy a $20 6-inch action figure for their kid because they need to buy 4 or 5 of them so they can play in the backyard. And then it's a $20 or $25 action figure now that they're getting dirty or ripping the arms off of, and you're going to be pissed at your kid for doing that. So, those big toys are for us adults and us collectors. They're not for the kid gets one of them. But I mean, the revenue off the movies. I mean, if you look at every theater sold out for how long and how many diehard fans saw it multiple times, it's the normal people or the casual fans that they're making more revenue off of for the movies. So I mean, it's the movies. I just think the movies are for geared revenue wise towards the casual fans, and they know we're going to buy Funko Pops and we're going to buy toys and collectibles and whatever it is.
I'm gonna put this out there because it seems I'm listening to what you're saying, but it seemed like you contradicted yourself, and I want to see if I can get you to explain what you just said. Fans like us go see the film 5, 6, 7, 8 times. I think the casual fan is not going to go see any film more than once or maybe twice, maybe 3 times. So I'm not understanding where you're saying that the casual fan is where the filmmakers are making their money when guys like us are seeing The Force Awakens like 9 times.
Because if you look at the number of people that go and see it 9 times or 5 times, it still doesn't compare to the casual fan that only goes and sees it once. I mean, if you go to the theater, I mean, now when I went to go see it, it was me, my dad, and 2 other people. And I don't know then how many people had seen it before, but if you go a week after the movie is opened and the theater sits 100 people, it's probably 90 people that it's their first time and 10 people seen it for their multiple times. Those multiple times people don't make up the difference on the people that are just going to see it one time.
And I would have to disagree because if a movie is out in that whatever time frame that is, when you average it all out, the people that have seen it a lot more times than the casual fans probably does outweigh the people that have only seen it once or twice. If you take a look at the numbers, and again, I don't have the stats, I don't have any facts to base it on. I just know that, like, from a fan perspective, I don't see that as gospel. I think we see the films a lot more, and it does outpace the number of times that casual fans all over see it. That's just my opinion. I have nothing to back that up. But what do you guys think?
No. I get where Ro's coming from. I get exactly where Ro's coming from. Say inside of a period of 8 weeks, the first 4 or 5 weeks includes all of the general population. And I know our fandom is big, but the rest of the general population is so much bigger than we are. And that's them folks that goes inside the first 4 or 5 weeks to see it. Makes a whole lot of money. Close to $700 or $800 million. And everything that comes after that goes to see 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 20 times and carries it over $1 billion, that's our fandom. That's how the general population goes to see it a whole bunch, makes a whole lot of money. And everybody that keeps going to see after, that's us that carried it over that $1 billion. Does that maybe kind of help to tie that up?
Yeah, I'm just reading some of the chat.
Oh yeah,
comments.
the chat room's going on and on.
There's an expected value formula that is begging to be solved here if we only had some data. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have anything to back it up, but I think, based on the type of fans that we are, I would probably, yes, we're all crazy, but I would probably, if I were a betting man, I would bet on us being the ones that carry the film budgets over to that side of the bank.
I had my interesting thought of, and as you guys were talking about it, was I know here, at least here in the United States, we will go and see a movie multiple times. I mean, I saw Rise of Skywalker 6 times. I think I saw The Force Awakens. I think I saw it 13 or 14 times. Last Jedi I saw 10 times. I'm wondering if in other countries, do they follow the same model that we do here, or is it more of a one and done kind of thing? And it'd be interesting to see what other countries' movie habits are.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from like the Star Wars countries, like England and Australia or whatever, they go see it multiple times. But that's also people like us, that I know from the Star Wars community that are going to see it multiple times. But I don't know. I don't know how we can get stats of it unless we find out what kind of records they keep or if polling they do after people leave. I mean, I just think that I don't know. I think that the number of times we would have to go see it as super fans, like the casuals that go to see it once, just make more money. But I don't have any facts like Ro. We don't agree on it, but we don't have any facts to back it up on either way. So
it's an interesting concept. You have to weigh in a lot of data to really kind of rein it all in. But it's an interesting discussion to have.
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
Yep.
But I'm with Mr. Rez. We are all nuts.
just a little bit. Some of us, are a little more tapped than the average nutcase. So
we need to do a
why
poll.
we're all here.
Someone needs to do a poll on Twitter and see how many times people have seen the movie. Like once, 2 or 3, 4 to 6, then more than 6, and then see, because those are your super fans that are on Twitter talking Star Wars, and see kind of what the average is on there. Because I mean, I saw it in the theater. I've seen it probably 10 or 12 times. In the theater, I've seen it 4 or 5. But we won't talk about those other things. And
I'm the same.
you know, like I mean, we're the ones talking that. I know a lot of our Star Wars friends have seen it 2 or 3 times, and you know that's it for them. So I mean, I don't know. It's you know, even then putting a poll on Twitter, that's going to be us super fans in our group. I think the average is probably going to be, you know, 3 or 4 times, and there's just a lot more people out there seeing it than those 3 or 4 times that the average is. Because I don't think, you know, me going to see it, if I didn't have other nefarious ways of viewing it, I would have seen it probably more in the theater. But still, the 4 or 5 or 6 times I saw it in the theater would have probably been more. But, you know, we're you know, averaging probably here. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. It's just, you know, I'm just trying to come up with rational explanations on why I think I'm right, and there isn't going to be one because we don't have any facts to back them up.
It's
you
late
and your nefarious ways.
It's late on the East Coast, and you've been talking Star Wars for almost 4 hours now. So, you know, between your Holocron show and this one, so yeah, it's understandable that you go off on you know, whatever tangent that you do. But
Well,
yeah,
I do that even when I start off talking. So.
Yeah, boys, it's coming late time for RFB and work day for Wednesday morning, coming really early. So
I understand.
get my cat to you, boys.
That's pretty much all I have
For me to step out.
today.
Oh, then I'll stay till the end. Let's carry this out.
Well, I mean, now it's just, you know, I covered the points that I was going to cover, and now we're just kind of chit-chatting and going back and forth as, you know, most of us do. You know, and so, yeah, it's, yeah, we're just chatting and having a good time now. So if you have to run off, I mean, it's not going to be too much longer for us here. But
Where's everybody at?
Mr. Raj says, don't bring Andy into this feed. No, all are welcome here. All are welcome here.
So Anthony is in Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
Michael is in New York. I'm in New Mexico. Kilo, I'm not sure where you're at.
Chicago suburbs.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Over there by close to Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You going to C2E2? You going to C2E2?
No, I'm not going. Or I didn't. Was it? No, it's this upcoming weekend. No, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I got other stuff I got going on. I didn't make plans for it this time.
Sounds good.
So, Road, you going to be trooping to C2E2?
I'm going to be hanging out with the folks at WSTR Galactic Public Media, and I'm going to bring my camera and my recorder. I'm going to get some sound bites for the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast and see what people have to say about Star Wars.
Oh, I got a spot for that in my playlist, buddy. So I did. I got a yes. And I hope friends get a spot in their playlist for that too. Not just me.
Take care of Holochronicles podcast. Go make your deal.
Yeah, Andy.
He's got a sweet deal.
Yeah, we're you know, everyone's jealous, and we need to see that deal as soon as possible. But we don't want just some lame picture on Facebook or Twitter. We want you to sit there and talk about and see the joy in your face holding that precious baby.
All right. Well, yeah, like I said, guys, that's all I have for tonight. Anybody else have anything?
I know I came in late. What did you guys talk about Project Luminous?
We did talk about it a little bit. What I had on that was one. I showed the video that they had, which was pretty cool because Charles Westcott hadn't seen it yet. So I got to share that with him. And then we talked about, I had three main points on that. The statement that they made that the publishing group was more of an incubation for the ideas going forward for the High Republic. I just thought that was just a cool way of describing the process and what they're wanting to do. I also brought up that could it be with the various different platforms, could that be a muddled time for Star Wars fans? Because not everybody reads the comics. Not everybody gets the graphic novels. Not everybody that reads the books is going to get the young adult version of the stories. And then some of the young or the young reader versions aren't going to read the full-blown novels. So yes, they're going to be separate stories, but kind of interwoven and are people going to miss something through this interwoven web? And then my last thought on it was I asked everybody what they thought, what scares a Jedi?
Losing power.
Ooh.
That was one of my thoughts as well. Losing their grip, their control over the entire galaxy. That and my other thought was what really scares them is that it's been several hundred years since the Sith have been spotted. That a lot of people think that they've been gone for good. And what was that line that Han Solo said? It's true, all of it. And all of a sudden something happens, and the Sith reappear, and people are like, I thought it was just rumors and stories. No, it's true, all of it. And now you have this. That's a big fear.
Sounds like the game.
Which game? I haven't played. The only one I played is
the old Republic game.
Oh, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah. The Sith Empire has returned.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about the novelization that's coming out on the 17th of The Rise of Skywalker. Questions I asked on that were, we already know from their excerpts that they expanded the Mustafar scene, the opening scene. Gives us a little more backstory between Hux and Pride, what Kylo was really doing down there. What other scenes should be expanded on. And then I also asked the converse of that, of what are they going to expand, but they really shouldn't.
Yeah. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled. You know what I'm puzzled at?
What's that?
That I'm glad that the sequel trilogy is over and we're gonna get some new stories. I think I'm kind of tired of the back and forth when it comes to what the fandom has kind of evolved into especially with the sequel trilogy. For whatever reason that is, but the other bad thing too is that I'm not a big reader. I have to really force myself to read, and I know these books are coming out in August. We have a long time before waiting to see what happens here. I'm more excited about the rest of Clone Wars season, to be honest with you. I can't wait for this week's episode, just to kind of continue that realm.
Yeah,
it's like it's like going away to a faraway land and then coming back home and seeing your friends again. Ahsoka and Anakin is really really nice seeing that first episode.
Now, Ro, have you tried Audible or anything
yeah.
like that?
Yeah, and I do have an Audible account, and since I do a lot of driving, I listen to a lot of podcasts that way, and I should probably think about putting some books on there as well. So yeah, totally.
Because I mean that's how I read all my books is Audible, and depending on the book, sometimes I'll dedicate, and that there's no more TV or podcasts or whatever. I just listen to that book. Or other times it's just a little bit here and there, and it might take me a couple weeks to get through it. So, but like now, the Rise of Skywalker novelization comes out on the 17th. I'll finish that in one day, maybe two, because that will be, it hits at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll get up and I'll listen to it for a couple hours, and I'll go back to sleep then for a couple hours. Then I'll get up and I'll listen to it for a couple hours and start my day. And that will be my whatever I do. In New York City, it's great because I got to take the train to work and whatever. So there's an hour back and forth. So that's 2 hours I get to listen, and walking the dogs another hour, 2 hours. So I can add. It adds up that way. If there's any time for me to have sound in my ears on that day, I will. And that like so. I mean, I might have it done all in that day, depending on how long it is. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
Michael said, when there's no more podcasts. Well, for me, there's never no such thing. There's always more Star Wars podcasts for RFP.
Well,
my
sometimes
playlists don't never end.
Well, mine never ends either. Now that I've moved from making more content and live streaming, I can't fit them all in anymore. So some of them gotta just get deleted for the week, and hopefully I catch them the next week. But on that day the book comes out, chances are I won't listen to one unless I'm doing something where I need something where I can concentrate more on the books than with the podcast. Podcasts are just like listening to friends talk. In my opinion, a lot of times it's just listening to your friends talk. Where a book, you need to pay a little bit more attention.
Sure.
So depending on what's going on, if I'm on the train and it's crazy, I might turn the book off and listen to a podcast. But it's going to be pretty much from the time I get the book, it's going to be podcast, or it's going to be podcasts are going to be on hold. Except for maybe one or two of them, whatever comes out that day. But it's going to be the book mostly until it's done, and then back and cramming the podcasts in because I'm going to be a day behind, which is going to be about 10 podcasts on my list that I'm missing. So.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on and joining me and talking Star Wars today. We'll start at the top and work down. We'll start with Anthony, Michael, Kilo, and then Ro. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Find me in that Twitterverse at A Rural Farm Boy, or send me a DM, or send me an email, or let's talk Star Wars. All of us. Hashtag all together in our fandom. Who's below me? Michael.
Oh, I guess
up.
I am. You can find me if you put in type in 2med2 pretty much anywhere social media. Well, not anywhere, but Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm gonna pop up there. I'm usually one of the top couple if you do a Google search too. And then I have the YouTube channel that every Monday is the Bacta Tank, 2med2's Bacta Tank. And then there's 3 or 4 other things that come up sporadically whenever they can. Right now we have the Holocron House where I'm going through the visual dictionary of The Rise of Skywalker with Rural Farm Boy. I do some collecting stuff collecting with Kylo. There's the Coruscant Coach's Corner with me and Mike Pappas. And those are just kind of whenever I can fit them in.
Also, your Fallen Order game stream.
Oh, yeah, that too. I'm probably going to do that after this because my girlfriend went to go see some singer or musician or something tonight. So she won't be home for another hour or two. So I probably get an hour or two to squeeze that in. I can do the cleaning I didn't get done because I was been live streaming. I can do that tomorrow because I'm going in late tomorrow. So
All right. So from top down. So from top down, Kylo Custom Squad, you're up, buddy.
Hey guys, you can find me Kilo Custom Squad on YouTube, PopDoc 2018 on Instagram. I started a brand new collectors group. It's called the Elite Collector Squadron. That's on Instagram. We're gonna try pushing it, trying to get back active into Twitter. It's under Kilo Customs. That's on Twitter. And then I have some live streams too, where I play Jedi Fallen Order as a playthrough for people who can reference to the videos for when they get lost. Kind of like should be Michael's video Bible.
Yep. I get lost often. I usually text Kylo and I say, "Hey, I'm playing right now. I need your help," and he comes on and helps me.
And then I've started playing the Legos Star Wars Force Awakens. I've been streaming that too. That's been a lot of fun playing that. And then just miscellaneous other things like for videos and stuff. But most of the time you can find me somewhere on Instagram under PopDoc 2018 or under the Elite Collector Squadron on Instagram as well.
TK226 bringing up our rear, covering our 6.
That is right. That is right. So I hope you guys can find the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast wherever you find your quality podcasts. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, Podcast.com, SoundCloud, iHeart, and YouTube every so often as we do our live streams and have a great time. We love collaborating with a lot of podcasts, a lot of our hashtag Podern family, our Star Wars family. It's a lot of fun talking Star Wars. We just released a new episode tonight. We're talking about side characters. So if you love Boba Fett, if you love the guy running with the ice cream maker in The Empire Strikes Back on Cloud City, if you love Dominic Pace's character Gecko in The Mandalorian, we talked a little bit about all of that stuff. So check it out if you haven't. Thank you guys for your support. So yes, on Twitter, Scared of Podcast, and everywhere else in the socials, we are Scared of Podcast. Just hanging out, and I hope you guys enjoy our Star Wars shenanigans.
Shenanigans, such a great word.
Well, maybe Scuttlebutts can be having breakfast with me tomorrow morning, come Wednesday morning on my radio before I leave for work. We'll see what the Will of the Force has to say about that.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got a couple of voicemails that we curated throughout the show. And guys like Pete Fletzer and Todd from WSTR, he sent us a little voicemail talking about some stuff. So yeah, and feel free to stay till the. I think where did I put that? Rob over at Jedi Temple Archives. Rob and who else did that? No, Rob. And Charles, Rob and Charles did this really awesome little commercial for Tuscan Tan, suntan lotion, and he showed it to me last night, and it was great. So that's mixed in there somewhere. I can't remember where I put it, but I hope you guys like it. It's really fun.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. I cannot wait to hear that. That sounds like fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all I had. I know, RFB, you said it's getting late for you. If you need to drop off, that's fine. Yes. If you guys want to stick around and hang out, then we can continue to do that for as long as you guys are interested.
No, I treat every live stream. I treat every live stream as I do every show in my playlist. I am along till the end.
Excellent.
I listen to every last minute of everybody's show, and I got nearly 90 some shows in my playlist through every week. I listen from start to finish. I don't skip out. I don't fast forward. I don't end before it's over. When the end comes, it's over, and then I go on to the next one. So, end's coming here. I'm staying to the end.
Excellent. Yeah, our little Tuscan tan lotion thing is a little hit. That's funny. Too funny. Just having fun, you know.
Absolutely, you gotta. It's life's too short, and saying that, I know I've been going through some crazy stuff in my noggin. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have shown me and given to me, reaching out. It's like Ro said, it's a Podern family. You guys really are family. I've really enjoyed getting to know each of you and many more that are on Twitter. It really is appreciated.
Happy to do it, Charlie. Happy to do it.
Yep, here for you when you need it, bud.
Awesome. All right. Anything else from anybody? And really appreciate those that came in the live chat today. There's so many that it's hard to even mention. But you guys are what make it worth it. I enjoy doing this. I don't do it for money. I do it for the love of Star Wars. I'm just glad that we've been, able to all get together tonight and talk just different topics and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Hey, anytime, Kylo Ren Flores, we're here for you. We're here for everybody. It's really a great little community. But my shuttle just got here, so I'm going to have to take off. You guys have a great evening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Appreciate it, Rob.
You have a good night.
See ya.
May the force be with you, Ro.
Yeah, so
all right, friends. I'm off and away. Michael, Kylo, Charlie. May the force be with you, friends.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. May the force be with all of you.
Have a good one.
yeah, so I might do a little Fallen Order stream in a little while here, but I got to get some things situated first a little bit better than they are right now in case I don't know. I can't have her come home messier than when she left the house, so I got to clean up a little bit. And that's why I didn't put my camera on because I've been cleaning up a little bit. I had all those books yesterday. I had to put back on the bookshelf. My one book, I put them back on the old bookshelf. Some of them, and that shelf's about to break right now.
No problem.
So yeah, I need to. I was supposed to today. I was supposed to transfer everything else over to the other bookshelf, and that didn't happen. So I got to figure something out. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. So keep an eye out. If you got the bell for me, you might get a little notification that I'm playing some Fallen Order. If not, probably sometime this week, late night.
Sounds good. Kilo, I'll have to add you onto mine. Send me a message on Twitter, and I'll add the. Are you on PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
All right, yeah. Send me a DM on Twitter with your ID, and I'll add you to my friends list on there.
Okay.
All right.
All right, all the friends in the chat. See you later. Thank you very much.